I started off by cutting down the lumber I'm gonna use for the door frame. I clean up one side with my jointer, then making the lumber 4 cm thick. I use my planer to clean up the cuts. Next, I cut the pieces in the length I need them. This is how it will look like. I continue by marking the cuts and the joints. I like to use mortise and tenon joints. They are strong and stable and can be used in many projects. I'm using the drill from my table saw for making the mortises. They are 1/2 inch thick and 2.5 deep. Next, I work on the tenons. They are just a little bit thinner than the mortises to make a nice and loose fit. After making those cuts in the table saw, I use the mirror saw to cut the leftover. I'm making this curved shape in the top crossbar. I think it will have a better look than just a square shape. To make the joints fit, we need to make either the tenons round or the mortises square. After having all the pieces ready, it is time to assemble the door frame. I'm using only glue for the joints, because I don't want any mark of nails or screws on it. So I glue it up and clamp it tightly, then I let it dry for a couple hours. While the door frame is drying, I work on the panels. I need to glue up 2 boards together to get the size that fits inside the frame. I only use some glue and clamps for this job. Just make sure that the surface is flat and the 2 boards match perfectly where the joint is, so that won't be a problem in the future. Once the panels are dry, I can cut the size required by the frame and have that perfect fit. I do the same with the second panel, but this is gonna have the curved shape on the top. I mark it and use the jigsaw to make the cut. It fits perfectly. I use my milling machine to make the molding on the panels. The milling cutter wasn't sharp, so I had to make multiple passes to get the final result. For holding the panels, I'm gonna use some strips similar to glazing beads. I cut as many as I need to put on both sides of the door frame. I make them round on the top using my roller. Then I use my table saw to make a rabbet that sits on the inner frame edge. This is the profile I got. A little bit sanding with the orbital sander and by hand. Boom! I also sand the door frame before attaching the strips. I make a 45 degrees cut to the strips. I cut one by one to make sure that there is a nice fit between them. This is how they fit. I repeat the process to another part. Then it's time to put all the pieces together. I use some glue and brad nails to attach the strips. I do the same with another part. Notice that I missed the curve-shaped strip, but that's gonna be attached after the panel. I flip the frame over and install the first panel. I mark the length of the strips and make the 45 degrees cut. Continue by gluing the panel first, then attaching the strips. After that, I install the second panel, doing the same as the previous one. I made a quick template to make the shape of the missing strip. Then I cut the curve with the jigsaw and mark the width using a marking gauge. After I clean it up with the drum sander I made for my drill press, we need to make a rabbet on the exterior side of the strip. Rather than the table saw, I'm making multiple passes with a rabbet router bit until I get the depth required. Then making the run over on the top. The 45 degrees cut is not working this time. I just mark a line and cut on that line. Next I attach the strip with glue and nails. I'm using wood filler to fill every imperfection in the holes from the nails. I continue by cutting down the boards for making the door jam. The width of these boards is the same as the wall thick. I cut 2 long boards for the sides and a short one for the top. I also need to cut the boards for making the door casing, and square boards for the door stopper. Then run the pieces through the planer to bring them to final thickness. I'm gonna install a mirror on the front side of the door. I mark its place, then use the router for carving the recess for the mirror. Next I work on the strips that will hold the mirror and also give a nice look to the door. If you like this project so far, please subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the second part of this video.